on this episode of the Sorority Chat podcast. Sorority houses are taking patios, porches, balconies, and even courtyards to the next level. They are wanting resort-style design that invites members to live outside and not just pass through it, coming and going to class or other places on campus. So we're seeing a lot of really chic setups. We're doing patio tables and chairs with umbrellas so that you can go outside and study when the weather's nice, or you can hold outdoor committee meetings. Hey y'all, and welcome to Sorority Chat. I'm Liz Toombs, a designer and sorority alum who's obsessed with all things Greek life. My mission? To bring you real conversations, smart insights, and fun stories that help make sorority living even better. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and let's chat. Hi friends, welcome back to this week's episode of Sorority Chat. It's a solo episode this week because what I want to talk about is the top 10 trends that you're going to see in sorority housing for the next year. Let's dive in. Some of these you've heard me talk about in the past. They won't necessarily be new. They're holding strong. And then there's other concepts that will be new. So the first trend I want to talk about is multi-purpose or flex spaces. If you caught last week's episode, you heard Mark Crittenbrink of Crittenbrink Architecture, and I talk about these types of spaces. They're gaining in popularity as chapter sizes grow and as chapters are trying to figure out how to make the house function for multiple purposes. Having a flex space offers a lot of function for sorority housing. So we're creating more spaces that serve as dining rooms at lunch and dinner time. And then they offer study space throughout the day, but then they're also where chapter holds meetings on Monday nights. So the room has to be really versatile and seat a lot of people, and the furniture needs to be easily moved so that the room can be turned over and changed around for the different purposes. And another design key is to have a lot of outlet access because you're plugging up laptops, you're maybe charging phones, there may be a projector or something that has to be plugged in as well. I'd love to hear from you if your chapter is utilizing multi-purpose spaces. DM me. I would love to have the conversation and kind of hear what you have going on in your area. The second trend that we're still seeing a lot of is wellness-inspired design. College life can be a lot. You've got classes, social engagements, a lot of late night studying, and our minds and bodies tend to take a hit with all of the chaos that goes on. So wellness forward design is really starting to emerge in terms of sorority housing. So what exactly does that look like? It can take a lot of different forms. And so I'll just share some examples of what I've seen in my time visiting some different properties. So we're seeing more mindfulness and meditation spaces. These are areas that tend to be tech-free zones. It could be a corner of a room. It could be a private room. So low lighting is a key to these spaces as well. It helps you to sort of be more zen, kind of calm and relax. Floor pillows, oversized floor pillows are great if you're sitting down and meditating or you just want to get comfy and read on the floor. Calming color palettes are key. And we're seeing more essential oil diffusers used as well, just to emit a really great scent in the space. And since candles aren't appropriate to use, these diffusers kind of help create a nice calming environment as well. You're seeing a lot more nature-inspired design as well. Biophilic elements like plants in the room, trying to make sure that you're letting a lot of light come in through the windows wherever you get good sunshine. And even fake indoor greenery is very helpful in boosting the mood. You've heard me talk about that a lot on this show. We post about spa-inspired bathrooms. So we've got backlit mirrors, calming colors in the tile and paint, and it just feels luxurious. So when you come in there, you just sort of take a deep exhale, and it's really good for wellness and just getting you calmed down when you're in those spaces. And the big takeaway on this one is that the trend isn't just about aesthetics. It's about making the house a place where members really can recharge. So if you think back to all of those things I've just listed, it's a way for the students to recharge in this chaos. Moving on to trend 3, I affectionately call this one foodie-friendly spaces. So if your house has a night kitchen, you know it is the MVP of the house. And if you don't have a night kitchen, you probably want one. So when you have late night hunger that hits, if you've been studying, you can go in, get a snack. If you are at class or have a meeting during dinner time, the chef can leave you a late plate in the kitchen area. It's just a nice way to be able to get a snack or to get a meal when the commercial kitchen is not in operation. Usually you're going to see like microwave nooks, maybe some coffee bars. The fridge will be stocked with just various snacks like yogurt, maybe bagels, things like that, granola bars. It kind of varies from chapter to chapter. They'll usually poll and see what kinds of food the students want. But the night kitchens are really, really gaining in popularity. And I mentioned that sometimes there's a coffee bar in the night kitchen, but sometimes we're putting those in other areas of the house as well. Maybe in a study room or near a study room. But it's a place where when students are getting up in the morning, they can go make their coffee at the Keurig. Maybe there's an espresso machine. So, people are getting real fancy with what they put out in there. Maybe just a beverage station to refill your water bottle, but it's also becoming a place of gathering. And so sisters are going there in the mornings, they're catching up before they start their day. And so you're really seeing a sense of community emerge with what seems like a simple concept as the coffee bar. And then it just becomes fun because you can add in various types of coffee or tea. You can bring in those fun flavored syrups. You can make the decor fun and kitschy if you want. It's just an opportunity to let personality shine for your chapter. My top design tips for these areas are make sure that the cabinetry has soft close on the drawers and the cabinets so you're not banging around, especially if it's in a study space. You don't want to be distracting everybody else. Or if it's out in the hallway, again, just keeping the sound to a minimum. Quartz countertops are going to be your friend to make sure that they clean up really easily. And then make sure you have plenty of storage, whether it's for the coffee pods, for napkins, whatever it is. It can be closed cabinetry, open shelving, even baskets to organize things. But those will make your spaces really good. Trend number 4 is in-house fitness centers. So whether you're building new or you're working with what you have as far as a facility, chapters are requesting more and more frequently to have some kind of workout zone in the house. This connects back to that wellness-inspired trend number 2 as well. People are trying to move their bodies more. There's that connection between physical health and mental health, and so they're really focused on the wellness side of things in getting the fitness center in here. And it doesn't have to be a massive fitness center. It could be a small space. So let's kind of break it into the 2 categories. Starting with an existing house. If you have a giant closet that maybe it's not being utilized well, or you can shift those items and store them somewhere else, that's a great place to start. Or a meeting room that doesn't get used a lot, clear it out. You can bring in some exercise equipment. It's really simple. Hang some full-length wall mirrors. You can add in a treadmill or an elliptical, maybe some free weights. You want a few yoga mats in there, and make sure your lighting is dimmable. And then all of a sudden you have a great wellness space. The size of your room will probably also be dictated by how big your chapter is and how much interest there is in the space, but you can always start small and then figure out how to make it larger from there. The key is to keep your colors calming. Again, kind of that Zen vibe. I mentioned the dimmable lighting. Your flooring, you're probably going to want either a really low pile carpet, an LVP, or even rubber flooring, because all of that is going to be easy to clean up because we know there's a lot going on, right? You're dripping sweat, you're tracking in shoes from the outside. So you want to make sure it's a really easy space to keep clean, or your members aren't going to want to go in there and work out. Now, if you're starting from scratch and you're doing new construction, sky's the limit, right? You want big open spaces. You could do an entire wall covered in mirrors from floor to ceiling, just for your form check. Make sure it reflects the light well in the space. You could kind of create zones for the different types of workouts, depending on how much you can invest in equipment. You can have fold-away benches. There's a lot you can do here. So like I said, sky's the limit. There's a lot of opportunity depending on your budget, and you can create a dedicated space. And I know some people may be thinking, well, there's a wellness facility on campus. They can walk to the gym over there. We don't need to do this. But actually, we're finding that that's not true because people like to work out at different times of day. Sometimes people aren't going to walk across campus at night if it's dark. They don't want to go there alone. The hours of the campus facility may not be conducive to their work schedule or their class schedule. But if the chapter house has a workout facility, then that's a place they can just slip into. It's kind of like a hotel gym. Whatever works for you and your schedule, you can slip in there and use it. So we're finding it's a really big selling point that helps people want to live in the house as well. Moving on to trend number 5, style-forward laundry rooms. You may be laughing, but nobody likes to do laundry. And if I am wrong and you are the one person out there or few people out there that like to do laundry, message me because I've got some questions about that and I would like to learn more about the alternate opinion than how I feel about laundry. But since I'm going on the assumption most people loathe this chore, it's really important to make the space an area that somebody wants to be, that they're happy when they're in there. So what we've been doing, my team and I, we've been putting really pretty fun wallpaper in the space. We've put in prettier light fixtures, like more attractive, decorative fixtures rather than just basic fluorescents or can lights. Makes a difference, makes it feel happier and more fun in there. Even choosing appliances that are more attractive and just less utilitarian. It goes a long way with changing the aesthetic in the space, which then changes how you feel when you're in there. And then, of course, you need the functional things like a utility sink. A lot of times this is a place where they're coming in and they're washing paintbrushes and such after crafting, but it's also a place where you can work on stains or just wash your hands when you're doing laundry. And then a folding counter, an ironing area, detergent storage, having all of those things can enhance the experience as well for students living in. So I've been talking about this for years with my residential clients that what makes you happy, let's put that in your laundry room. And now the concept is definitely translating over into sorority housing and needing good aesthetics when it's time to do laundry. Trend number 6 is what I'll call well-being nooks. So depending on your chapter house, it may be called an interview room, it may be called a mental health room, but overall, the point is that you are getting a private space where it's carved out from the rest of the house. It could be an underutilized area, whether it's a corner in a hallway, or if you have an older house where they used to have phone booths to take phone calls, we're turning those into these spaces, tiny closets. They don't have to be big. They can be significantly smaller than the gyms that I was talking about just a minute ago. And chapters are asking for these spaces more and more because most of the common rooms, they're there to gather, bring people together, but sometimes you need to kind of steal away. And even with your private bedrooms, you have a roommate usually. And so having these wellness nooks allow you to go in and take a telehealth appointment. You can do a job interview over Zoom. You can take a test. Or if you just really need a super quiet place to study, you can go in and use these spaces as well. And you don't have to have a lot of them. Like somewhere between 1 and 3 is more than enough for most chapter houses. But it gives students a place that they can go and take care of those private things. Some of the fun details that you want to add to these spaces is a really great wallpaper. So if somebody sits down and is doing an interview on Zoom, they'll have a good backdrop for themselves. So you could do wallpaper, you could do really pretty artwork back there. You know, I talked about them sitting down. They'll need a place to put their computer. So you have to have a desk, whether that's built in or freestanding. You need a comfortable desk chair. We'll usually add in a pretty lamp to give some kind of nice ambient lighting and just make the space feel comfortable. Just because it's small doesn't mean it needs to feel cramped. So those are some key things that you make sure that you want to get in there so that it serves a good purpose. All right, trend number 7. This is probably a new one to you. Mahjong tables. Depending on the area of the country you're in, Mahjong may be old hat to you. You may have been playing it for years, or it could be a newer concept. But what's interesting is as the game is growing in popularity across the country, we're starting to hear more interest in having a Mahjong game table incorporated into the house. I personally am still learning how to play the game, and I think this is kind of a fun thing to incorporate into these spaces. You could put it in a TV lounge, even a living room, or if there's like a multi-purpose room. They're not big tables, just small square card tables, but you could do them in a pretty finish so that it could be used for multiple things. You could play the game on it. It could be used as a study table, or it could even be like if it's in a TV room, it could be for where folks can have snacks while they're in there watching TV. So they're not over there eating their popcorn or Chipotle on the sofa. They could go sit at the table. So it's not like putting a game table in makes it only for games. It's kind of back to that multi-purpose function. So I love that they can do double duty. But the main reason we're getting these requests is because people love to play them. It's a sisterhood activity, whether it's just a random after dinner, let's play a game, or if it's an organized actual sisterhood event. It's a really great way to bring people together and again, foster that sense of community and just get folks off their phones. So I'm curious if your chapter has a Mahjong game table or if it's something that you're looking into. I'd love to know. All right, trend number 8 on my list is Instagrammable moments. This one, again, has been around for a while, but it's now a part of almost every conversation that my team has with chapters. Everybody wants to make sure they have some kind of Instagrammable moment within the chapter house. So if you're like, what the heck are you talking about? I'll give you some examples. So it's a photo wall, like an area where you can stand in front of it and you have a really great backdrop. A lot of times, again, it's wallpaper. It may be a neon sign with a chapter motto, an organization's motto on it. It could be something that you swap out seasonally. So you maybe do something during bid day, something during big little season, all the different times of year. You could bring in balloon arches, whatever the case may be. Mirrors for mirror selfies, those are a huge thing as well. But you're just creating these little snapshots and moments of focus throughout the house where students can take their selfies, they can post their videos on social, and it has a really great aesthetic behind them. And honestly, it's becoming a part of branding for these particular chapters without trying too hard. It's when members are posting things and you have those visuals and that aesthetic behind them, it is creating kind of an identity and a brand for their chapter houses. So I would love it if you have a really great Instagrammable moment in your chapter house. Tag us, tag PDR. I'd love to see it and learn from you. All right, moving to the end of the list, trend number 9 is history walls. One of the most impactful, and in my opinion, it is still very underutilized trends that I've seen is having a history wall in your house. And back a couple years ago, I had Kelly Schillig and Dan Duncan on the show from Tri-Delta Housing, and they were talking at that time about the rise of using history walls within their facilities. So a history wall is a curated gallery-style installation of framed pieces or some kind of artifacts that showcase the chapter's history, or at least key moments within the chapter's history. So it could be black and white chapter photos, the charter from when the chapter was founded, the crest from the organization, any sort of plaques for like major milestones or awards that are very prestigious that the chapter has won. All of those things go up and create this gallery wall that tells a story about the chapter and the organization. It is not just decoration, it really is that storytelling, although it is also decoration. So again, we're kind of pulling that double duty, that multi-purpose function. I've seen it done really well, again, with Tri-Delta. When they do their house tours, they make sure that folks can go along that history wall and really learn more about the organization, and it fosters a sense of pride and just lets them really learn what that group is all about. From a design standpoint, these walls are thoughtfully planned out. They are usually showcasing coordinated, not necessarily matching frames, but coordinated frames. Lighting can be an asset. We can add in picture lights that highlight specific moments on the wall, or you can do, if you have recessed light, Above it, we can do a directional can light so that it's spotlighting certain things. But lighting is, you can really give it a museum feel if you want to, and if it's the appropriate placement, and it makes it feel warm and more personal and very welcoming. And if you haven't heard that episode that I was talking about with Dan and Kelly, I encourage you to go back and listen because they have some very good ideas on how TriDelta incorporates this into their facilities. And I think people can learn a lot from them. And during that episode, I specifically remember Kelly emphasized how history walls can foster chapter cohesion. And she says, when you see your name next to your grandmother's on that roster, it's not just pride, it's empowerment. And I thought that was a really good point and good thing to share. And then Dan, he added that these installations are often the first stop for guest tours because it gives a moment to provide a narrative about the chapter, the house, the organization as a whole. And if you do it right, the history wall is more than just a wall. It's really a good conversation starter and a reminder of values and what anchors the sisterhood culture. All right, last but not least, trend 10 is outdoor living spaces. Sorority houses are taking patios, porches, balconies, and even courtyards to the next level. They are wanting resort-style design that invites members to live outside and not just pass through it, coming and going to class or other places on campus. So we're seeing a lot of really chic setups. We're doing patio tables and chairs with umbrellas so that you can go outside and study when the weather's nice, or you can hold outdoor committee meetings if you need to. But then the other seating outside is much more plush. You've got a lot of cushions on sofas, chairs, love seats where folks can lounge around, and it just becomes a conversation space, just like an outdoor living room, because the furniture is comfortable and people want to spend time out there just chatting with people. In warmer climates, we're seeing a lot of loungers because the women are laying out. They're tanning. And so we're making sure we incorporate those loungers so they can get that vitamin D and enjoy the sunshine. I will say in some applications, it depends on your campus, you're going to need to secure the furniture to the ground. There's a variety of ways that can be done, but just this keeps the furniture from getting picked up or walking off and having to replace it later. But that's just sort of a minor detail that you can deal with depending on your setup. So again, overall, it's not just about aesthetics. It's about giving members the chance to recharge, to connect, and create memories out in the fresh air, again, while getting that vitamin D. And it really is just an extension of the house itself. And so it's nice if your rooms in the house, the common rooms, are a little bit smaller. This is giving you a much more open place to gather. And we have some clients that will send us pictures when the chapters are out there gathering and hanging out. And it means a lot to us. So I know that these spaces have become a really popular place for chapter members to spend their time. All right. That concludes my list of the top trends that you're going to be seeing in sorority housing this year. If you have anything to add, I would love for you to reach out and share with me what that is. But you'll see the common thread through these trends that I've talked about are connection, wellness, and intentional design. Those are key to making a great chapter house. So if any of those got your wheels spinning and you feel like your chapter house needs a refresh, send me a DM. Otherwise, I'll catch you next week. Welcome to Liz's House Hot Takes. This is where I take the lessons I've learned over the last 16 years of designing Greek houses and offer you my pro tip. Here's today's house hot take. Mirrors equal magic. Use them strategically. Mirrors bounce light, open up tight spaces, and make any room feel more luxe. But the placement matters. Angle them to reflect light coming in from a window, not a cluttered corner. And bonus tip, full-length mirrors in the hallway or the chapter room are an absolute must for last-minute fit checks and mirror selfies. Thanks for listening to another House Hot Take. For more inspiration, check out the PDR Interiors Instagram or TikTok. I'm Liz Toombs, and this is the Sorority Chat podcast. Catch you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you got something out of today's conversation, we'd love for you to leave us a 5-star review. It helps us reach more listeners just like you. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to check out this video right here or this one over here. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. On that note, I'm Liz Toombs with Sorority Chat, and I'll see you on the next one. This podcast is produced by Collier Landry for Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Liz Toombs.